I'm very proud that it's been a signature event on the university calendar for so long. We've had a number of distinguished speakers join us over the years at this event, from Board of Trustee members to former athletic directors, conference commissioners, vice presidents, coaches, and former student athletes. And each of these speakers has given us insights and allowed us an opportunity to learn and to grow from their experiences and their perspectives. Although in athletics we fill our days with practices and competitions, our main goal is to educate our student athletes. And events such as this one are special because we carve out the time in order to do just that, for personal growth and for education. Today we have two special guests with us that have returned to campus for this event, June and Dennis Collison. The Collisons ran track. Sorry about that. Can you hear me? Okay. The Collisons ran track at Adelphi and also represented their home country of Guyana in international competition, including the Olympics. You'll learn a lot more about them as they are interviewed by our moderator for this event, Board of Trustee member Curtis Minnis. This event is brought to you by the Great Minds and Great Conversations series on campus, as well as our Athletics Diversity and Inclusion Council. This council was formed 6 years ago as a way for members of the athletics department, student athletes, staff, and coaches to demonstrate that Adelphi Athletics is committed to creating, sustaining, and supporting a culture of diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging, and also celebrating the differences in each of us. If you as a student athlete would like to join our council or learn more about what we're doing, please let us know. I think it's a great opportunity for you to gain some valuable leadership experience while also taking the opportunity to make the space in which we gather so much, our athletic department, to make it a place that reflects our beliefs and our values. So with that said, today's a great day to continue the conversation of DEIB and to celebrate the achievements of people of color. So thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedules to be with us here today, and I really hope you enjoy the event. At this time, it's my pleasure to introduce the moderator of the discussion today, Mr. Curtis Minnis. Curtis graduated from Adelphi in 1977 with a bachelor's degree in political science. He was a star athlete on the Panther track and field team. Since graduation, he's been an active alumnus, taking part in numerous networking and alumni events, and giving his time to leadership roles on campus. Curtis was a founding member of the Multicultural Alumni Chapter in 2003. He also served on the President's Advisory Council and the Panther Club Executive Board. Curtis is currently a member of the Adelphi Board of Trustees. He retired in 2020 as Managing Director of Global Sales for FedEx, a role that he held since 2005. And Curtis also serves on the Board of Trustees of the Kips Bay Boys and Girls Club. So please join me in welcoming Mr. Curtis Minnis. I don't know if track teammates would qualify me as a star. I was just a utility, to say the least. So, but thank you, Danny. I really appreciate that. And welcome, everyone. I'm looking at all these faces. This is amazing. This is pretty cool. I like this. So, welcome. Appreciate the fact that you decided to come join us for the Black History Month celebration. I'm not going to relay to the point where any remarks have been made. I do want to make sure that we introduce our guests. Both June and Dennis Collison arrived at Adelphi by way of their native homeland of Guyana, as Danny had mentioned. Dennis first arrived in January of 1977, followed shortly thereafter by June in January of 78. They were both formidable international forces on the track prior to putting on that Panther uniform for the first time. Dennis arrived as a member of the Guyanese National Record Setting 400 meter relay team. And for those who know track, they ran 39.59, which to this day still stands as the nation's record. Here's a horse. Internationally, we recorded first in the best over 100 meters at 10.3, 20.5 over 200 meters, which are world class still to this day. Dennis graduated from Adelphi with a bachelor's degree in business administration and went on to a relevant tenured career in the financial services arena with John Hancock and Prudential,
through 1990. And then he decided that he wanted to chase criminals, and he joined, and he caught them too. He joined the Los Angeles County Probation Department through 1990 and then retired in 2016. So, Dennis Carlson, just step up here. Yeah. June. June was outstanding in just about every respect. She is a rock star. Her highlight reel is just really too numerous to list here, but I'll just give you one day, one week, 1978, in relays. She won the long jump with a jump of 6.8 meters, which equates to 19 feet, 11 inches, which is the first school record. That same day, she anchors the 4x400 meter relay with a then school record of 341.5. The folks who track TV, you know what those times were very substantial. A then meet record back then at the pen release as well as school record number 2. She subsequently ran a third leg on the 4x100. Again, this is the same meet. Stay with me now. This is the same meet. Right? So they ran 46.67, which is a school record in the heats. They came back and ran 45.5 in the finals, which they won. So this school had 3 Championship of America winners right there. That team went on subsequently in the 4x4 to run 339, which is ridiculous now. She ran a 51.37 for 400 meters, which is the school record today. She also ran the world record indoors for 440 yards and 54.14, 160 yards wooden track. So, Denise, at the end of the day, that's Dennis, that's June. Just to make sure we keep that clear, right? Well, we got Sean, Brains, and Braun. June earned her undergraduate degree in banking and finance and her MBA in corporate investment and finance. Incredibly brilliant young lady, as well as the deed she did on the track. She's now president of the community hospital in San Bernardino, and she's held that title since 2012. Ladies and gentlemen, June Thompson.
Both June and Dennis, I mentioned, came here from Cheyenne, and you were like,
Well, actually, I'm going to start with that. I was working at the bank at the time as a teller, and I was on my way to NYU on an academic scholarship. So Dennis came into the bank because he was visiting from college. And he came into the bank and he said, "What's up?" I said, "Actually, I'm going to NYU on an academic scholarship." And he said, "You know, we just started a women's track club. Would you have any interest?" And I said, "If the price is right." And the price is right. So Dennis called Basil, our coach at the time. Before I knew it, I had documents and I switched course and I came to Adelphi instead. At NYU, it was strictly academic scholarship, but at Adelphi, I had a full tuition. And the first year after I ran, I got a full scholarship. So that's how I got to Adelphi.
Well, let me make some corrections in this because I came to Adelphi in December 3rd, and so I went home for Christmas. But before I left, Ron Basil, who was the athletic director and coach, said that he's thinking of performing human track too. And if I know anyone that's very good, I said, really? Okay, so I came, I saw June, and June said she'd get ready to do it anyway. So I flew back to campus, and I told Basil, when she leave there? She'll leave on January 20th. And I said, do we have enough time to intersect? He said, yes. And he sent the I-20 at the time, I put it to the consulate in New York. And I think
it got taken out on the 15th of January. Where is she?
But as you're going to see later on in the conversation, this thing here took a whole new turn once I got to Adelphi.
You showed up, right? Oh, I'll be 60 years. But I got to ask Dennis, so you got to know first, how did you know how it happened? I
went to a primary school and there was I don't know who, track athlete, a coach, QBC Google. He was in Mexico primary school. And at the time, I'd gotten 3 or 4 hours scholarship. But QB said, come to Delphi.
Then I remember that who was living in Brooklyn, and I said, Adelphi is not that far from Brooklyn. Let me choose Adelphi. That's how I came.
So, in the audience, is Mr. QB's brother. The best purchase certificate in the world coming out of Jamaica. So, QB, thank you for bringing these two here. I'll bring it in and then he just went to stall. I'll start the quote.
Well, that person was really old for me. And I landed on campus and it was just this beautiful, just a beautiful, beautiful place. I had no knowledge what I was getting into, but all it was a vast space, and all I kept saying, do we have to walk to all these places to get to school? But that's my first impression, how beautiful the place is.
Yes, but I was impressed because I visited University of Southern California, and I went into some of the classrooms. Most of the classrooms had 500 to 1,000 students in one classroom, and I said, no, I can't do this here. So when I came to Adelphi, some of the classrooms were 30, 40. Yeah, it's a school like me. That's one of the main reasons why I stayed at Adelphi. I love every moment.
Well, we're glad you're back. It's 3,000 miles from LA. 40 or 50 degrees, 60 degrees? 70 degrees. No, I'm talking about the altitude where it is now in LA, where it is going to be tomorrow. Yeah, it's going to be fun. So, all right, so we're going to put athletics aside for a moment. You both excel academically. Lots of exceptional athletes stand up today. You seem to be so for the audience, I mean, particularly student athletes that are in the building, an idea of what your foundation is, just to help you balance something ultimately that you don't see.
Well, for me, education has always been important in our family. We are a family of teachers and professors and that sort of thing. So I knew coming here and coming into college, I had to graduate. I left Guyana to come here to graduate. So it was something that was instilled in us from the time we were young, through our high school days, and through my college years. So I did not have a choice. I couldn't say I was coming to Adelphi and not to graduate. It was very clear to me, my mother told me that you are going to graduate. So I came with that, knowing that I had to graduate when I came home. So I had a foundation. And Guyana is also, it was British Guyana, so we have very good academic systems there. And it's like a British system, so we really have a great foundation in Guyana. So this is the thing.
Yes, so the thing is, we always felt that education was the key to succeed in life. So it was competition in the classroom. We had to be either first, second, third, or fourth in the class for every subject. So making the transition here was easy. And once I got here, my father said, don't come back another degree. I said, okay.
So it was the threat that did it, not the being will commence.
Yeah, but not only the threat so much, because you knew a degree where a degree can get you, or what a degree is going to do for you later on in life. You know, you can be the top track star, the top baseball player, the top basketball player, but at the end of the day, what you have to remember, you can get hurt. And what happens when you get hurt? What are you going to hold on to? And so that degree makes a difference. And I'm not saying a degree is going to always be that thing, but it's easier with a degree.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So back to the athletic side for a second here. So you guys have been all over the world. You did the highest levels, Olympics, national records, world records. I'm sure you look at your Rolodex, you're bragging about all that you've accomplished. If you were to say, okay, what's your most cherished memory, and what's your most cherished memory in the two things?
You know, my most cherished memory is Madison Square Garden. And that's when I broke the world record. And I gotta tell you this. Every single game going to Madison Square Garden, all I would heard from Mason, he called me Bob. Bob, you gotta break record. Bob, and I finally said to him one day, I said, Mason, just stop. Just stop. You know, and this particular day when he said nothing about the record, I broke the record. So to me, that is always going to be my cherished memory. Yes.
That's incredible. And I mentioned earlier, it's 160-yard wooden bank track. So facilities that we have today, think about what you would have done on the tracks they have to the bank track.
Now, the funny thing with that part is, but you know, I reflect on that and what I think about all the time. This little bitty school in Boston City with a world record holder. You know, how powerful is that? Yeah. So that was really deep at the time.
The second world record that Adelphi has, because the mile relay had a world record. Yeah, it's a tiny little school. So, it's good ones. Outside of going to bank.
Well, I had no money, so I couldn't make it be possible. So, anyway, but my most cherished moment was being at the opening ceremony for 1976 Olympics. And while we were getting ready to run our first event, the president of the Adelphi called and said, "You leave it." And it broke my heart, but we had like 12 hours to pack. The opening ceremony was my most cherished moment. We ran the track.
For those of you who may not So for those who don't know, in 1976, most of the African nations boycotted the Olympics. As a result of the support of New Zealand and the rugby team in their trip to South Africa. They were fighting against the apartheid regime back then. The blacks, the New Zealand rugby team, which is still to this day phenomenal, did go to South Africa, and a number of nations said that's not good. So we went to the opening ceremony, and then we got pulled away.
Getting ready to run the first set of heats, get a call, and then they treated us like criminals. We got 12 hours to do it, and we were escorted out.
You know, we talked about this over dinner, and we talked about actually lunch with a couple of the Adelphi alums. When we talk about folks eventually was the IOC that we keep politics out of sports, politics is cold. You can't separate the two. It's just my perspective, a nonsense. So, I mean, that is, you were robbed from in crime or your career. You so cherish just walking. That's it.
At least I was able to come to Adelphi and I was able to breathe. So I'm happy for it.
Yeah, so that was part of my questions here, kind of, and you segue kind of ahead of me with regard to the Olympics, but kind of taking a look at what's happening on the rising environment that we're living in right now, very bad with the geopolitical situations. Do you pull parallels from 76 to today, particularly when it's like this week, we're celebrating like this week, but that was a very pivotal moment. So if you take a look at that, and you take a look at where we are in 2023, do you think we made significant progress? Obviously, it's hard to know this, but can you bring any parallels with where you were then and where we are today?
I don't think so because although we've made progress in certain areas, we're still looking for some way to cherish some of the things that we've accomplished. And then every now and then, because of another black kid or a young person is killed, we're trying to figure out, are we really making any progress in this work? So sometimes, yes, you feel, okay, yes, we're making some progress, and then something happens, and then I'll be back to square one. So it's very difficult to say this, be on the right track, and then something happens, just derail everything.
And for me, I think we have made a lot of progress. However, with all of the events and the recent events, you take a step back. You know, I was I'm on a board called Castlewood and it's the Children Advocacy Foster Cares. And they are into DEI because you all know that's what's happening now, diversity, equity, inclusion, that's a huge out there. And I saw it in one of the halls I was walking earlier, and I saw that. And I really smiled about it because that's such an important part. And we were doing a session about DEI, and one of the things they showed us for us to discuss, they had an African-American guy in a hoodie, a black hoodie. And the question to us as board members, what have we seen in that image? And honestly, I said to them, what I see in that image, I see my child, my black son with a hoodie, and what can happen with the hoodie. So it's not that we haven't done the work, we have done the work, but the things that are happening sometimes, it takes us a step or two back. However, we have to continue to do the work because it's good work. And people that came before us, like the Martin Luther Kings of the world, have done what they've done. We've got to take it and we have to carry on, and we can't stop working towards that.
Along those same lines, you said there's one thing that we really need to focus on. That would be the primary concern. There's a whole host of things, obviously. But what would you think if you were talking to the audience? Would be the one thing that you say that you would think would be priority one in the realm of DEI, the alphabet just keep getting longer and longer.
Well, you know, I would say to make sure you're engaged in it. Get involved in activities that includes DEI and understand what it means and why it's so important to you. Because I tell you what, if you have a diverse organization, and I look up there and you guys have so much diversity, it makes it richer. You guys get so much out of it. So educate yourself, get involved. It's important for all of you to be a big part of this huge thing we have that we call DEI and inclusion and equity and all that stuff. Yeah. That's what I would say.
I would say get your first degree, get your second degree, and whatever you need to get after that, it's fine. But without your education, it's going to be very difficult for you to succeed in this work.
So we have, seems to be a movement to repress the study of history African Americans in this country. Books were being pushed aside, curriculum was being kind of adulterated. We see what's going on in Florida and other states all over the country. And it seems to be this uprising that's reversing decades of progress when it comes to communication. What are your thoughts about the direction, particularly as it relates to academia and the education of the history of this country, not just African Americans? Native Americans, Asian, we're starting to impress with history, and what those groups did to support the growth of this country. What are the thoughts as far as the direction of that?
Well, the thing is, yes, we are aware of what's happening in Florida, but you can still read, get books outside of the school district to educate yourself, because with your education, you will be able to combat anything. So you can't rely on what's happening in a particular state or a particular school district. You have access to education, with or without the school district.
How would you, so to that, follow up to that, so you have access to that, how would you advocate kids become aware that they have these options? You've got areas in the country where they're not almost allowed to realize that they have options. How would you foster that growth?
Well, most times the parents should have to play an active role, making sure that they know that there are certain books, get the books, go on Amazon, get the books, and make sure the kids read it. Forget what was happening in the state or in the school district. Reading, making, math. I always remember, always is the thing that. So just read. You can't depend on anybody to say that you did something like that. Read, you will succeed.
And I take a really different view of them. As for example, we see all the things that are happening in schools with the African history and all that stuff and that sort of thing. And to me, we have to start at the head of it. Say, for example, Adelphi. For us to get changes and make changes, it starts with the Board of Trustees. You have to get to the Board of Trustees and you have to talk to them and see where they stand with that sort of thing. So they can make sure they push it down into the organization. Because truly, I think that's where it starts, the Board of Trustees. Where are the boards on these issues? That to me is very, very important. And if the boards are not there, you have a problem. But if boards are there, it's going to be easier.
Yeah, absolutely. Fully agree with you. And I know folks that I chat to probably often, the play Hamilton, my favorite song is the movie of Hamilton. We need to be in the room where it happens. If you're not in the room where it happens, you're just subject to the outcome of what happens in the room. It's very difficult.
I like Michael, there's a very good quote. There's Neil Angelo, I think she said, if you don't have a chair at the table, bring your own chair and put it out. Pull that chair out. That's the only way they can hear your voice. So you just pull that chair out and you sit at that table so they can hear you.
Black History Month, we talk about this a bit about the things that are going on now, the environment, the landscape of black culture. What is black history?
Well, I think it's recognition of the struggles that artists have done and paying attention to what we need to do for the future. We have to recognize the struggles we went through, the pain, the different things that happened to us, and prepare for the next year and see what next we accomplish. We can't forget the past, but we could make sure the future is bright.
Yeah, I think so. And don't take it lightly. Take it seriously. Because when we think about all those people that have gone through so much for us, to make a difference for us, got to take it seriously, and we've got to be a part of the solution.
One of the early points you made,
Yes,
you have to be engaged.
Yes, we have to be engaged. We have to be engaged and know your partner, your team, know their culture, know their history, know where they're coming from. It's going to help us get.
So I'll turn the page a little bit and talk a little bit back to the athletic career. Really change the concept of this one. So then, as an audience doing in a second, you traveled beyond the U.S. most readily from Adelphi to Miami, okay. Then in 1982-83, you decided that you could help doing preparations for the 1984 Olympics. Is that an accurate statement?
That's accurate.
Well, before you ask the question, I want to understand how that went for you. Because I don't coach my wife in any way, shape, so I'm just trying to understand how that worked out for you.
Not that at all. Because after college, I went back to work for financial analyst for 3 years. And then, based on what was happening in the country, I realized that the country was not going anywhere. I was not going to succeed there. So I decided to come back out to New York. And at the time, June was doing an MBA. And I decided to help her because she was preparing for the 1984 Olympics. So I was her coach. Kind of. I was trying to get her workout. And she would tell me, I'm not doing that. I said, Carol, you don't know how much talent you have. She said, I am not doing it if you want to be. So it didn't go well.
Now, your version. He always says you can follow the script, right? He says one thing, you should like it.
You know the thing about that is, and obviously you guys know this, as coaches, they try to give you 10 instead of 3. And I was on the 3 side, more than the 10 side. And he just wanted me, I think he wanted me to do like 2 extra 600s or something like that. And I thought about it and I said, I'm tired, I'm not doing that. And he said, you are so lazy. And that really irritated me when he said that. And I said, I'm really not doing it. I grabbed my bag and my shoes and I said, I'm out of here. And that was it.
2 months.
Okay, wow. So who then coach?
I think I ended up with, was it Brooks? I think I did end up with Brooks Johnson after that.
So much to you guys. Thank you very much.
I'm a real coach.
So you guys have been a really good run, pun intended, for the last 5 decades. And so, because of your success, and Jim, I'm not really coaching this, you were Woman of the Year, Pasadena. You also did commission with Council, commission. So really impressive again. So, if, when we look at Adelphi, we can see what we say was the most impactful. Well, how does it led to your success, both in your professional career?
You know, I have to tell you this, for professionally, you know, and you all are going to realize and understand this as you move into the arena, the work arena. And when you're an athlete, you are so ferocious. You have tenacity, and you think you can do anything. And I took that same attitude and I took it into the workplace. And I don't want to brag about it, but I am one of the top CEOs for Common Spirit. It has 140 something hospitals. My facility always we always perform, we always encourage, and because one of the things I tell my VPs, I am not a loser. And that came from my track days. And so that's what I learned from being here. And my long conversation, I don't know how many of you have a professor by name of by Dr. Harvey Heinowitz, Professor Heinowitz. I don't know if you guys have him. My long conversations with him. And I gotta tell you guys this. Professor Heinowitz said to me one day, we were chatting, and he said to me, you know, Jean, I can see you being a CEO or a CEO for a major corporation later on in life. And you know what? That happened. So he saw the vision for me, and I didn't see it myself. Yes.
So mentors are important.
Mentors are very important. And not only mentors, you have to listen, and you have to hear, and you have to ask the questions. And don't be afraid not to say, I don't know. Help me, teach me, make me understand. Because it was always my favorite stuff. My favorite words with my professors, make me understand.
Well, the thing is, since myself and Jimmy being together, I feel that you always have, you need someone in the corner to push you. Because when we moved out to California, we were in a place named Hayward. And it was still cold. So Jimmy was working in the banking industry. One day she came home and said, you know what, I don't want to work there anymore. I said, okay, if you're going to get a job, you need to go to Southern California. Let me hold down the Fort Hayward. Go to Southern California. She went to Southern California, and I said, well, once you're set up, then I'll come. So, to me, it is very important to have someone that who understands the vision, understands the talent, keep pushing and supporting. So that was my role throughout the whole career.
So no coaching.
No, I stopped.
I actually did better than that.
Yes.
You did much better.
I can see the success you had. Very successful. I want to touch on 1970s.
I think that sound. I apologize, everyone, if you could just.
Excuse me. Can you clearly? You need this. So, 1979 Pan Am Games.
There you go.
Oh. Should I start singing?
No.
You guys are disappointed. So 1979 Pan Am Games, USA Sharon at 400-meter final. Two of arguably the best 400-meter runners in the world. I've watched that race many, many times, and you got the silver. You and Sharon at the exact same time. And there was a significant amount of controversy about who actually won that race. So can you talk I know the story, so you can talk to the audience about that.
Yeah, can you guys hear? Yeah, it was the 400 meters it was the Pan American Games. And I think I led that race for the entire race. I think I led the race. Because like they always told us we had to get out. We have, and Coach Dad, you guys have to get out. So I got out the blocks well, we settled in, and I felt really good about that race. And it so happened, I gotta tell you a story, Sharon never beat me before in her entire life. So I was out, I thought I was cleared, I thought I had the race, and from nowhere came Sharon down. But I truly believe I kind of dipped and take lower. However, you can't have two firsts. So they give Sharon first and they give me second. So my government appealed. They said they appealed. I don't know if they did, that's what they said. However, they said they appealed and they lost the appeal. So I ended up with second. And Sharon got the gold medal. And I got the silver medal, which is very, very sad. You guys see I'm still
So one of the things that you said when we were chatting about this earlier in the day is that the Guyanese government didn't fight the way that the U.S. fought for their application.
No. My country, Guyana, it's, of course, it's a smaller country from the United States, a big country. And I don't think my country, its leaders fought for the way America fought for their people. But at the end of the day, I also felt there was some politics involved in that whole situation.
What was pretty, we've come out of the 76 event, the Montreal Olympics and the boycott there. We were leading into the boycott of 1980. And then we obviously had the boycott of 1984. So we had 4 successive Olympics. Pan Am Games is 1 year before the Olympics, and there was all this kind of hostility. So, the U.S. had a much more leverage than I had at the time. But I watched the race many times, and one of my personal favorites. I keep looking at the race and say, "You got robbed." So.
This day I can't even look at it. I got to say all over again.
Yeah. So, and again, there's a whole bunch of track athletes in the audience here. There was a rumor that you ran 202.
I did. I never.
For 800 meters, so, yeah.
But the way you're saying it, I really wasn't not for 800. I ran on the relay.
Right.
On the relays.
Yeah.
So I just 40 miles. How many 40 miles do you have over here? 40 miles, but you show your hands.
Yeah, 4 miles, what you
You guys know we can go from 400 to 800, right? Because you get to that 400 mark and your head messes with you. And so I never liked the 800. So my coach would always put me to after the 800. I gotta tell you, I was pretty good with it. I would run it low 202, low 203, 204, yeah.
So the team that you ran on, 822. That's average 205.5 a leg. You ran 202. And who else was on that team?
That was with Brooks Johnson. Robin Campbell was on that team, and a few other people I can't remember. We've already Robert Brooks Johnson.
Right. Yeah. So I was doing some homework, and I went 822. That's ridiculous. That's just absolutely ridiculous. All right. So for the basketballers in the audience, how many basketball players are here? And how many of that raise your hand know who their son is? All right. So, Cameron Collison played point guard for 4 years at UCLA. His senior year, I want to make sure, he received the Francis Pomeroy Naismith Award, which is given to the #1 collegiate player in the nation 6 feet or under. Their son was a horse. Went first round in the NBA, 21st pick. First round. Right, he's had a 10-year career, 11-year career at the NBA, like the Lakers, Phoenix, a few other teams. And so my question is, aside from the fact that he had an enormous advantage with the genes that you two had, that was just unfair. But he played basketball. How did that happen?
He always loved basketball, so at a very early age, we had to stand inside the backyard to see him play. But I said to myself, since both myself and Jude ran track, we should be a track athlete.
See, he listens to you like your wife did, but that's okay.
I know once in 1 year, he was a junior in high school, and I said that you need to be in track team. So he started, but he would tell me that you're going to practice, you're not going. So I decided to speak to the coach and I became an assistant coach. So at practice, I was there. So I pushed him 1 year, and we ran very well. But when they were going to compete the next week, he didn't go to the trials. But then the following week was the finals. So he wanted to know how come these guys that he was beaten going to the finals, and he didn't go. I said, were you in the preliminaries? No. He said, but I was better than them. He said, well, that's why I like basketball. And at that point in time, I said, you know what, do what you like.
Actually, he was always set with basketball. He always wanted to be a basketball player. Because I recall he was in elementary, and I said to him, Darren, what are you going to do when you grow up? And he said, I'm going to go to UCLA and play basketball. And I explained the details, did so many games on the team, so many scholarships and that sort. Because I wanted to keep him grounded, and I also wanted to be realistic about it. So he would not be disappointed if he didn't make it to UCLA. So now he got to high school, and he had gotten a scholarship from UCLA in his second year in high school, second year. And so, of course, he was going to UCLA. So fast forward now, I said to him again, I said, Darren, what do you want to be when you grow up? He said, I'm going to the NBA. And I said, statistics again. So many NBA players, so many NBA teams, and would possibly do getting on it, you know. And I was very honest with him. And it was important for that, because I did not want him to be disappointed. And, you know, I guess he knew what he wanted. And he ended up in the NBA. And, you know, so I guess you all do now.
So I do have a follow-up question, but I just want to acknowledge that royalty has just entered the room. I mentioned 2 world records. The first one was the mile relay indoor, and one of those legs was run by that young man over there, Mr. Keith Davis. I also ran on that team, the school record of 3:05 outdoor from the mile relay 4x400 meters, which is just simply astounding. A little stat, that time would have been the 33rd fastest 4x400 meter team this year. It's 20 years ago, last year, in the outdoor season. So that team really has the test of time. So Keith, welcome. Oh, Jesus Christ, Dennis Walker. But you had that mask on, dude. What the hell am I supposed to do with that, right? So quick story. I wanted to work on this, but in 1971, Division I NCAA 200 meter final, championship final. Adelphi had 2 lanes. There's only 8 lanes. Of all the schools in the nation, we had 2 athletes in that 200 meter final of Division I. This young man, 20.5, right? And Richard Hardware. And he only was very, very tall. So now obviously Dennis, you were coaching Darren, and Darren said, I don't want to do what you want me to do, which is what June said before. So obviously you're trying to. Yeah, absolutely. Something to say?
But I can give you a little insight in how you said it, because myself and June, we were putting aside money for his college career. So after he got his scholarship in his junior year, he said, Mom and Dad, can I have a card? He's 15, he said, since you don't have to pay for college, can I have a card? And I said, okay, get a card. And I said, do you want 100? A card or Civic? He said, Dad, look at mom's driving, look at you driving. I can't do that.
Forgot mom and dad for workers.
Yeah, you're paying the bills. Yeah.
So I said, okay, what do you want? He wanted a BMW. I said, okay. Well, I had no intention of buying a new BMW. So he's doing well in school because I was always the thing in the house. If your grades are not right, you play nothing. So he was doing well. So we started looking for cars. And he saw this Lexus. It was a GS 300, black Lexus. So he said, Dad, look no more. That's my car. So I'm looking at the car. I'm trying to see exactly how much this car costs because I have a limit as to how much money I was going to spend on the car. When I looked, it was Honda. I said, yeah, I can do it. No worries. It was a 7 or 8 years old, but it was in very good condition. I said, you got a car. And by that time, he just had a permit. So he wanted to drive to school. School was just about 2 miles. And I said, it's okay. And Jim was like, how could you know drive to school? He doesn't have somebody supposed to be with him. I said, it's 2 miles. It's not a worry, but yes.
Think about that to me. What that came down to me is like digging again. African American kid without the driver's license. You don't put the child in that position. Very simple. And that was my thought process. That's always mom's thought process, but not daddy's.
Mommy didn't stop me.
So we now have a little swallow on the public display. I apologize for that, folks. I really do. Unbelievable, but I got to stand with June on this. So we're approaching the 5 o'clock hour, and I would really like to open up the floor to the audience for any questions they may have for Dennis and for June. Just incredible folks. And before that, I'd like to ask if you've got any closing words for the students, particularly the student athletes in the audience, before.
You know, my closing words to all of you is this is an amazing opportunity you all have. Take advantage of it, and you're going to see what it's going to do for you in that big world out there. You know what? Enjoy the moment. Have fun. Don't take it seriously. Look at it, you can't. Don't take it too seriously. Have fun while you're doing it. But just make sure at the end of it all, you graduate. And have fun along the way. And you all know I'm talking about lots of fun.
In moderation. So I know that Emily has been traveling light there, so love to engage you with any questions you may have for June and for Dennis.
Hi, my name is Jordan. I just have a question. You're talking about diversity and inclusion, like I believe earlier. You're saying how it takes like going to like the top for it to trickle down to the bottom. You're talking about like progress and how sometimes, these events happen and it pushes us back. And I was just wondering, how do we take those lessons that we've seen with the civil rights movement and with Dr. Martin Luther King and Malcolm X? How do we take those lessons and apply them to like now? Because I feel like everything's a trend and it's popular that like kind of goes away, but it's still there. So how do we take big movements like that and apply it to it nowadays where things kind of come and go and it doesn't seem like we're making as big of a difference as they did back then?
You know what? We are making a difference. It would appear as if we're not making a difference because every couple of months you see the things that are happening, but we are making a difference. You guys can come to help to make that difference. You have to be advocates. You've got to join these groups that are going to promote diversity, equity, and inclusion. That is so important. But don't get frustrated, but because we are making progress. It's just the little things that are set in this life. And it takes all of us to make that work.
My name is Amari, and I'm on the track team.
Oh, I know you.
Okay.
Is that the record holder? Right?
Okay. My question was, how was it like mentally training on the Olympic stage? Since I know back then mental health wasn't as prevalent as it was as it is today. So, how did you deal with both Olympic training and just the stress and everything like that?
Well, for me, that stress was no joke. I'm not kidding. You can tell you, I was always nervous. I'll tell you, nervous. I'm not kidding you. The day before, I literally couldn't speak to anyone. I couldn't speak because all I did was focus on my race. Because as you know, before that race, you walk through it in your head, you think about it, what you're going to do with certain spots on the track. And walking into that, then I could barely breathe. I'm telling you the truth. I couldn't breathe. I was that nervous. I swear to God, I always would say, one of these days I'm going to pass out, and I wish I had passed out. Because I just didn't want to run the race. I was so nervous. But I am not going to kid you. Every single race, I was so nervous. I was very nervous. And I knew I was well trained. I knew I was well prepared. But like you said, it's just how every person deals with that. And I was always a nervous wreck going on before when it started. And once that gun went off, that was it. But I was nervous, very nervous. So I know what you're going through.
The other thing I would say that competition, the more you compete, it becomes easier. So a lot of times you have to make sure you compete at every level. Once there's a meet, try to be in it. Because as you compete, the next time it becomes easier. You compete next week, the next time it's easier. So the more you compete, you get more relaxed, and then eventually start to become easier and easier. The lack of competition could be one of the reasons why you don't excel.
Yeah, and Dennis makes a good point that I think when we focus on one race, one event that's coming up a number of weeks out, and you don't compete, you're focusing on that because you really have almost one failure point. And so the pressure to be ready for that one event, that one day, if you don't have tune-ups, if you're not racing regularly, so once you show up, you're like, oh God, where am I? Where's my condition? And most importantly, where's my mental health? Because I still am a firm believer in the track and field, and most other sports are more mental than physical.
But I can tell you something just quite interesting to me, because I knew how I felt when I ran track. I knew how I felt when I walked into the Olympics. I knew how I felt when I walked into the World Championships. And I said to my son one day, Darren, and I said, Darren, don't you get nervous before you go on the court? And he said to me, no, I don't. And I never understood that. He said he never got nervous going on. So I don't know if because it was like the sports really favored other people, why you don't get as nervous and the folks think your own race. But that nervous factor was there for me.
I think it was a 15-year-old car ride with a license. Any other questions?
Hello, my name is Gina. I'm a senior in undergraduate. I was just wondering how you got into healthcare as a nursing major from AMPA.
Oh, you're a nursing major?
Yeah.
Well, first I'm going to tell you you're always going to have a job. No, seriously, and thank you for getting into the nursing career because as you know, there is a shortage for nurses. And thank you so much. I got into, like you heard, my first degree in background, I imagine my second degree in foreign investment and finance. And when I out to California, I just happened to fall into healthcare. I just happened to fall. So I started as a staff accountant, then I moved as a senior accountant and a controller. But I knew all along I wanted to be a CM. I knew it all along. So I just positioned myself. So I was chief financial officer, regional chief financial officer, chief operating officer, and I finally made what I wanted to be a chief executive officer. So I just knew where I wanted to be. I'm pretty good with focusing on things. You know, as you probably can tell, you know, my coaches knew, you know, if I'm focused, I can get the work done. And it was the same thing with my work. I knew what I wanted, and I positioned myself, and I focused on getting there.
My name is Bryce Whitley. I'm a sophomore on the track and field team. Actually, like these 3 rows on the track and field team. I just wanted to know, I have a mentality question. So, like, when you guys were in your workouts, how did you kind of push through these workouts? Because I know our coach, your coach, is always telling us to push out and all that stuff. When you have that lactic in your legs after a couple of reps, it's kind of hard to do that. So how did you just push through this kind of things?
Well, for me, I got to tell you how I'm going to push through it. Well, first my coach was Basil, and then I had Coach Dabney. And I had several coaches like Dennis, you know, I had all these coaches along the way. And I know for Basil particularly, if you didn't finish the workout or you didn't get it done, you'd add 2 more to it. Like 2 more 400s, 2 more 600s. And so because of that added factor, I always made sure I did my work and finish everything I had to do. It's just, you know, you have to get the work done. Because, you know, they say prepare to prepare is to prepare to fail. And I knew I wanted to excel out there when I go to track meets. So I always mentally prepared.
The other thing with this, the thing is, if you tell teams you want 300, 400 at 40, and you do 1 at 49, then you have to do another one. So you tell yourself, if I only want to do 3, I might as well do 3 at 40. Or else you can do 1 at 49 and 3 at 40. So you might as well do the 3 at 40.
Hello. Hi. My name is Farah. I'm a nursing major. And I was wondering, on the topic of mental health, how do you think we can continue to improve and continue to further discuss how important mental health is, especially in high stakes and high competitive and overall really important settings, like for example the Olympics and how snowmobiles and Shakari Richardson were treated. How do you think mental health could be improved for the future, and how many more strides can we make?
But first of all, we have to identify it. We have to identify that there is a mental health issue in this country. And just take a look, what have we just come out 2 years ago? COVID. Do you know the impact just being locked up and not going out with what was done to people's mental health? But I think if it's not identified and if we don't know it's there, that's when it cannot be treated. But once it's identified, it can be treated. There's so many things to do with mental health. And it's mental health is really now, it's very big. So you have to identify it and you have to know when you have it and then seek the help. And the help is there.
Hi, my name is Christopher Ho. I'm a computer science major and a captain on the track team. Oh, I had to write my question. I'm a first generation American amongst African and Caribbean diasporic communities. You guys mentioned having political discourse in the way with both of you competing for international competition. Politics play an important role, especially in third world countries, what with corrupt government coalitions, leaders, state of the nation, etc. Being Guyanese immigrants, can you speak to these problems as they still linger today, and also applicable? What are you doing for your respective nations to combat that? Or can you suggest what first generation American citizens like myself can do to help their own country?
And I'm going to let my husband answer that question.
Well, the thing is, after I left Adelphi, I went back, I went work as a financial analyst. So I joined the Guyana Amateur Athletic Association and became one of the vice presidents for the AAA. So we had a connection with Puma through Kiwi. And Guyana at the time had no facilities. They had buildings and they had a little stadium, but they had no track. So I was talking to Kiwi, and Kiwi said that we could put a track at the national park so that athletes could start training them. So I presented the idea to the AAA. And they said, when you guys come back from college, you always bring these great ideas. And I said, well, this is a start. So they decided to put it to a vote. So they put it to a vote, and the vote was done. And after that, I was done. I said, I'm out. So sometimes you will try, but you will still not succeed. And the thing is, I have more important things to do with my life. Coming back to trying to see what we could help. We were in Beijing, and the head of the Olympic Committee asked for us to come and visit them. We were in China. So I went, I'm trying to figure out how we could help athletes from Guyana migrate. And they basically told me the guys that are very good, they're not educated. And the ones that are educated, they're not good. So at a point in time, I said, well, sorry, there's not much I can do. But have tried.
I don't think. No, honest. Because I know dynamics. I know the will is there to help, but they do not create that space for you to help. And it's very difficult to help. So what I do, I just put my energies to things in America that I can make a difference with.
Who is actually attributed to, says, fight the battles that are large enough to matter, but small enough to win. So you've got to pick the battles where you feel you can have an impact, and not go up against the windmill, where the energies could be better served, where you feel you can have a positive impact. And so we all have to determine what those items are. Any other questions? All right, I think. What?
No, I have a story to tell you, and I don't put you down.
That's fine.
I think you told you this, but in case I didn't, I'm just going to free my soul of it. So I can sleep well at night a little better. But let me tell you all a story, right? We went to Pocatello, Idaho for a championship. And so we were running there 4x4. And my teammates were Mark Caron, Marion Gillard, and Sharon Innes. So we got there, and they had people like Chandler Cheeseburger, top athletes in America running in this event. And so we sat in our room without Bill, of course Bill wasn't there, and we were talking about how can we pull up, how can one of us pull up in the race. And so in order to pull up, in order to fake a pull up, and you guys don't do this now, you have to know how to fake a pull up. Because you can't fake a pull up and don't go upwards, right? So you know it's a fake pull up. So we're talking, Mama said, we said to Mama, why don't you pull up? This was the first person on the first person we did. Mama said, well, I can't. I pulled up the last time. So I said, yeah, so they said, Judy, I said, no, I can't pull up on the two cats. Okay, I pull up on the two cats. So, okay, so we didn't decide who was going to go. So we got into race. This is the truth I'm telling you all. And Marva came out of that block like a bat out of hell. And I'm standing there in shock because I'm saying, this was not the plan. And I'm standing there, this was not the plan. So she gave it to Marion, and Marion is still running in the top three. I said, the show wasn't the plan. The show, I said, the sheriff's going to pull out. So the lyrics came to Sharon, and Sharon's still running. And I'm like, this is what we talked about. So of course now, I did Robert stick it to me, the race thing, and I had no choice but to run the race. Because they didn't pull up, and I wasn't going to pull up. I knew what happened.
Certainly one of the earlier questions about the mental piece of it, everybody's going to pull up, so all the pressure is on. And they were free. When you run your best race, you're free, because sooner or later one was going to pull up and move it out of here.
Thank God they didn't pull up.
Mr. Dadley, yeah, it's freaking believe. Listen, this was absolutely amazing. And Dan, we have some recognition for them, and but really, this is actually very, very cool. I hope and trust that the student athletes in particular took something worthwhile away from this, as well as some of the administrators and faculty members that are in the audience. So, okay, I'll turn it over to you.
Yeah, we just have. We just have a couple of tokens of our appreciation that we'd like to present to the Collisons here, and I think we have time for Frank. Oh, there he is, right there. Okay, so let's give one more round of applause for the Collisons.